Have you ever wondered how do management consultants from BCG, McKinsey and Bain are perceived as competent people? Or have you ever thought why McKinsey, BCG and Bain consultants are really so competent? So hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Shatakshi. I'm on a chai break and I'm an ex-management consultant from BCG, and I did my MBA from ISB Hyderabad with the Harvard Exchange, and I was also a public policy advisor. And on my channel, I give absolutely free advice and I share my experiences and I share all my learnings that I've gained for MBA, consulting and personal finance. So if you're interested in these topics, feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that every time I'm putting out content, and of late I've been putting out almost on a daily basis, so that you get notified. So it's a very interesting topic, how are management consultants really perceived as highly competent? In this video, I'm going to be largely talking about number one, why is competence is of such importance to management consultants, and point number two, how do you really showcase yourself as a competent management consultant from Bain, McKinsey, BCG. So point number one, we need to really establish the fact that McKinsey, BCG and Bain are paid a bomb by top organizations in India and of course outside, by Fortune 500 Fortune 500 companies and the top leading echelons and behemoths in India. And because they get paid a bomb, they are supposed to be that intellectual advisor on that entire project, and for the client you are bound to be perceived as competent. And in fact, on that note, just a side note, that's why most of the creamy layer of management consultants goes to people who are from IIT, St. Stephen's, ISB, IIM Ahmedabad or Harvard, Wharton outside, because in certain shape or format through these degrees people are signaling that we are competent people, at least in terms of intellect. I know that a lot of you may hate this as well. I have not created this industry, but in separate video where I talked about the kind of skills that are needed, I'd also talked about the entire demand supply mismatch, because the number of jobs in management consulting are just so limited. That means that the jobs go, at least the BCG, McKinsey, Bain, Kearney kind of jobs go to the top creamiest layer. But coming back to the point of why is competence really important? So when you work with those clients who are paying you a bomb, then typically the people who are below the CXOs, they are kind of allocated to certain departments. So you would be dealing with someone from marketing department, or you might be dealing with someone from product department, or you might be dealing with someone from, let's say, the research department, so on and so forth. So you are in a very good situation where you are actually getting a very holistic 360-degree view of the entire organization or the problem that you're trying to solve for. And the fact of the matter is, you are walking on a very thin line on a new project, because you would not know anything about the company, be it the industry also, and you get paid this bomb. And the fact of the matter is, there would be few people on the client side who would despise you, who could be envious of you, because you are getting paid a bomb and your salary as a young management consultant could be actually more than their salary when they are in their mid-30s and mid-40s. So they could be frustrated with that job, and they would try to find their best to actually find dirt in you, and hence you have no choice but to walk on that thin line and show competence, especially when you are on that learning curve in the initial 1 month of the project, when you're trying to understand the industry. And I know that many people criticize this model of how could management consultants really evaluate without knowing the industry. And this is, I think, a very interesting model that in fact the entire advisory and management consulting model is based upon. That's not the industry that matters. It's largely the problem solving skills, which is, can you dissect the problem? Can you find an insight which is not obvious? Can you connect the dots which can help you solve a problem, etc., which are important. But at the same time, you're supposed to with time learn about the industry and learn about the organization as well. So this was section number one, just helping you understand and appreciate that it is not just a high paying job, it is not just a glamorous job, it is a damn tough job. Especially the first 1 month of an assignment could be very tricky. I have done projects from telecom to FMCG to education to shipping, and I remember in first 2 weeks I was just learning a lot. I was just clocking 14-15 hours every day to just catch up with the a client in terms of the jargons of the industry and the terminologies of the industry. You can't be asking basic questions in such meetings, which brings me towards the second section. Now that we know how do we acquire that competence, and you could also say that there is an element of fake it till you make it, and at the same time you try to also build upon certain knowledge as well. You could hate it, or you could call consultant a con man or kind of an imposter syndrome, and I have also felt it on certain projects that I'm kind of an imposter. I don't know the depth of it, I know the width of it. But after a certain point of time, I was able to largely appreciate that my job is to not get into so much depth. My job is to get into a little bit of depth, get a lot of width, solve the problem, and move out of it. And of course, there is no end to defining what is really depth, right? You are not trying to get a PhD in that topic. You are trying to understand it enough so that you could talk with the client and also solve the problem. Now, the first hack through which you could actually gain competence, and this could actually help you in case interviews also, which is just learn a lot and read a lot about the industry. So for example, in one of the information technology cases that I did with a leading IT giant in this country, we were trying to reduce costs. And what I did was I read a lot. There were articles that were available within BCG, and of course outside of BCG. BCG has a lot of knowledge resource material, and based on request, the backend team also provides that to you time to time. And I went on call, and those calls could be expensive. Those are called the expert calls or the knowledge calls, where you ask certain questions. You typically read a lot, and then you get on the calls to validate a hypothesis or try to understand a lot about the industry. So just to get into more details or give you more flavor, I had come upon or stumbled upon a very golden mine that my client was wasting a lot of money on visa applications. As an IT industry, there was a big lever in visa applications that was just going wasted, and there could have been a lot of efficiency in it. And as a generalist, I had to really get into the detail of kind of visas that are there, and which visa gets prioritized, which visa doesn't get prioritized, so on and so forth. And the client will always trying to find dirt that, hey, Shatakshi doesn't know this thing, or she's part of BCG, and that happens with all the consultants. So as a management consultant, when you're in room, especially alone with a client, you walk on a very thin line, making sure that you are perceived as competent. And many times, at least your degrees could signal that you are decently competent. Like I said, it's a very sensitive topic. I know I'm not a huge fan of degrees myself, but degrees could be used for signaling, if not for skill, or if not for capability or talent. So that's point number one. Point number two is largely, and I think this is my favorite hack, which is around building trust with someone else. And this is a very interesting topic because I've been reading anthropology these days, whereby there are a lot of good discussions around how human beings are the only one species, and that's why we have become so powerful on this planet, and we are the only ones who exchange, who collaborate, and who trade, who barter. And the underlying reason why we are able to do these things is because we have the ability to build trust with a stranger, not a trust with a family member or a kin or a relative, but with a complete stranger. And at the heart of management consulting is trust. And when you're trying to build competence, few things that can help you come across as trustworthy, and this is my favorite, is just smile. And of course, there are a list of 10 pointers and we can go on and on, but in the interest of time with this video, I have realized that a lot of people just don't smile enough. Once again, just taking a leaf from my anthropology book that I'm reading these days, and I've just been always wowed how much can you learn from anthropology about nation states and about organizations and about startups. Human beings are actually, interestingly, one of the only species who smile in a way that can actually struck chord with the other human species and make them trust a little bit. The moment you go to a restaurant and you look at the waitress or the waiter and you smile, there is an instant connection that we build. So this could be a signal of building trust, if not necessarily competence. But like I said, trust and competence also kind of go hand in hand, which brings me towards the third lever through which you could build competence. So typically, initially your clients would not be really good with mathematical rigor, and that's why in management consulting, because you have to solve a lot of mathematical problems, you would be required to have a decent mathematical rigor. And many a times in meetings you might be required to do decent mental math as well. Many a times you would have Excel, you could take your time and you could do it as well. So for example, if you are in a meeting room and you're supposed to do 75 into 93 percentage, the biggest hack that I use till date is 75 is fine, but you could round off 93 to 90, and you could do 75 into 90 percentage. So first you do 75 into 9 and then you add a 0 towards the end. So rounding off numbers many a times is a very beautiful hack for you to come up with the rough numbers, and it could showcase to the other person that you're decent with your competence, because most of the people are not able to do. Once again, the mental math is a muscle that you build. If you do it 20 times by yourself, if you do it 30 times, you will naturally become better at it. So in this video, like I said, it's actually very important for management consultants to be really competitive people, and especially because the clients pay a lot, you get paid a lot of salary as well. And like I have always maintained on my channel, if you're interested to actually get into management consulting, build a career, get upskilled, get employed, and also learn from your network, then I run my own education venture which is called globalgovernance-initiative.org. So feel free to check it out. And like always, on my channel I'm putting out absolutely free experiences and learnings that I gained during my time with BCG, ISB MBA and personal finance on how to create wealth. So shall you be interested? I'm always on my chai break on a periodic basis, and I'm shooting for all of you. So feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that you get notified. Take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.